Well, you made it to another episode of the Little Things Podcast. I'm Dan.
And I'm Jesse. Thank you for joining us today. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you. It's so good to have you with us.
That's
what
right.
What are we talking about today?
We are talking about something fun today. We are talking about everyone's favorite activity. Do you know what that is, Jesse?
Vacuuming.
That's right. If I had a bell, I would ding it.
Yeah.
You're correct. Vacuuming. Really one of the great joys of life is vacuuming, especially, by the way, when you have a dog.
Yeah.
Do you have a dog, Jesse?
I don't have a dog. I have no pets. The last dog I had died.
Oh.
It's a very sad story. Maybe we shouldn't get into that.
We'll do
story.
another podcast on
Yeah.
sad dog stories. That sounds pretty epic. But
Yeah.
no, so vacuuming with a dog, it's intense. It means every day you are vacuuming, and then even after you're done vacuuming, you vacuum some more because the hair is hiding in all the wrong places. And then, by the way, vacuuming with a dog, it's very intense. If anyone has a pet, you know what I'm talking about. The new canisters, right? You can see all the dirt in the canister. I almost wish you couldn't. You know, the old bagged vacuums, you couldn't see the dirt. Now, when you actually see
everything,
the dog hair that is in that canister, you just start feeling sick. Just as you're watching or you're looking at the hair
I do
swirling.
get that. I mean, I don't have a pet at home right now, but I have lived in a household whereby we had a pet and I had to vacuum, and so like you mentioned about it's just intense about all the things that you see in there, but then with the dog itself it can just be intense because I remember vacuuming and the dog would just be barking or trying to like bite the vacuum because he was like, I don't know, it just made him so excited, so he would just get so excited when it was time to vacuum, and so sometimes I had to lock him up in a room. But you're so right, there's so much things that you see in that canister that you don't necessarily see on your carpet when you're walking or going about your daily routine.
Yes, this is true, Jesse. This is very true. I do have quite the history with vacuuming, though. One of my first jobs was cleaning new construction homes.
Okay,
so,
where were you doing this?
South Puget Sound area, and sure enough, you know, the construction guys come in, they put in the microwave, I clean around the microwave. They put in the windows, I clean around the windows.
Okay.
But then when they put in the carpet, I got to clean the carpet, vacuum the carpet. And I will just say, I got very good at this pattern, which I call the clamshell pattern, where
Tell us about it.
You do the whole living room, and then you come back out of the living room, and then you do kind of an in and out kind of fan clamshell pattern. And what I would say is it was kind of my trademark. You knew that Dan had vacuumed
there was
carpet
a clam
because
logo or something
the clam
like that.
shell vacuum. Now with my own house, I definitely don't have any signature. I don't.
You just get it done.
I just
it's
get it
interesting
done.
you mentioned that. I've done some vacuuming at a construction site, and to me, it's this like sound of just like dirt and rock going into the vacuum.
Yes.
That is very like calming to me. I don't know what it is, and that might be really weird. Maybe some of you can attest to this, or maybe some of you can identify it. Hopefully, it's not just me. But no, I really love just the sound of that. Or you have a bunch of dirt, and it's like a construction vacuum, so it's like one of those canister ones that you roll around, and you have like this dirt piled up in the corner, and you can just get creative with sucking it all in. And then when I vacuum in my house, I'm just so some people say I'm OCD. And so when I vacuum on the carpet, I don't like to see like uneven lines all over the place. So I don't have like a clam logo, but I have like my lines need to go this way if I'm vacuuming diagonally, or if I'm going vertically. I just need to ensure that it's kept that way, because when I sit down on the couch, it just drives me crazy. So I go straight lines.
So is there a special vacuum you have to create these straight lines? What kind of vacuum?
So we actually have two vacuums. We have one that's called a Shark, and that's what it's called. I think it was introduced on Shark Tank, and it's called a Shark. I don't know. I think so.
Yeah, you can Google that and let him know he's wrong.
Yeah, you can do that too. But it's called a Shark, and that's one of those probably the upright vacuums that you push, and it does have one of those canister that you can just see right into that you open, and so that's the one that I use for the carpet. I have a little handheld one that goes into a charger, and it's called an Electrolux, and it can actually break into two, so you can do handheld, like a smaller handheld about that size, for maybe like all the stuff that your couch or sofa eats on the side, and all that stuff that goes missing, you know?
See, I'm wondering, even as you're describing these different types of vacuums, I have a feeling half of our audience is like, I don't even care, or maybe I pay someone else to vacuum and I don't care what vacuum they use, just I hope it works.
Yeah.
But then I think probably the other half is actually quite interested in this conversation. And I know I am, because I've noticed there's different types of vacuums.
Yeah.
Like what you're mentioning, you know, kind of that handheld. I also call the Ghostbusters vacuum, if you've ever had that one before, where you're literally wearing a pack.
I've never seen that.
And then you have the handheld. I mean, how cool is that?
That sounds really cool.
And I was thinking about those little vacuums. They don't work that well, but you plug them in, USB powered, and then you clean your keyboard. You ever done that one?
No, I haven't done that.
Or there's the little one that you plug into your car socket, you know,
one
and then you get into the seats. Like all these different kinds of vacuums. You can get pretty involved in the vacuum world. In fact, I don't know if you've ever like shopped for a vacuum, or if the shark just kind of showed up at your house, but
it was a gift. Yeah,
so
it was given to us. I've never shopped for vacuum.
It can be overwhelming. I had to buy an iron the other day.
Oh wow!
I was at Bed Bath & Beyond. And it really stressed me out, because there was the $59 iron, but then there was the $79, and then the $99, and then so I'm like debating on which one to get. But then around the corner was the $29 vacuum, which kind of speaks to the saving part of my brain. But then I'm like, but what's so, and I know nothing about irons, but then what's so special about the 79? It stressed me so much, I didn't buy any iron. Ava needed an iron, and she goes, did you get the iron? I go, no, I didn't.
Oh man.
I didn't even get an iron. So vacuums, I feel the same way.
That way. No,
kind of
I definitely agree. So the two vacuums that I have, or that we have at home, they were both given to us, and so I haven't had to buy a vacuum. But if I wanted a vacuum, like there's this thing that we talked about, this vacuum envy, that they're like top of the line vacuums. That that's the vacuum I need, but it's like hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And the Dyson is one of these vacuums.
You know where my
and I
envy is.
wanted one of those.
Yeah, so the Dyson, I get it until you see the price tag.
I got a Shark. Someone gave me a Shark,
which is pretty awesome.
Which is good. Yeah.
The Dyson, I'm at Costco. It's always just about $100 more than I want to spend. But my envy, if I'm honest, is the robot vacuum. And if any of our listeners have the robot vacuum, I would love to hear your experience. You know, thumbs up or thumbs down. Total envy. I mean, just the idea. And maybe it's just my pure laziness.
Of not pushing the vacuum.
But it just sounds incredible. Like it just does its thing.
I've seen it in action, but I think because I like to see the straight lines, I think I'd prefer to push the vacuum. That's just me, but I get that. No.
Being the line guy that you are. That makes sense.
I do.
Well, hey, I thought we can transition here. And just the idea that when you are done vacuuming, how good it feels to have something clean. You know, to have something that you can kind of rest even. I don't know if you ever feel the anxiety of dirt or mess. I think that's even where some of the minimalist side of things, the decluttering that everyone's trying to get into, and organization, it's that feeling of like chaos almost. And when you get something vacuumed, you can sit down and breathe easily.
Oh,
do you know what I'm talking about?
That was just relaxing to me. Because I'm thinking about that. Like, I'm thinking sitting in my office and working, or my office space, or my room that doubles as an office, and it needs to be like clean and organized before I get started.
Really?
Yeah, no. So because I feel like I can't focus, and vacuuming does that for me. Like, I enjoy the experience of vacuuming, and when it's clean and everything looks neat.
Yeah.
I enjoy my TV show
Yeah.
much better. I just do.
I think a lot of people could relate to that.
Probably,
I think
yeah.
it's a real issue. The problem, again, since I have a dog, is you got to do that every day.
Yeah.
Right? The dog, unless he died, which is an option for a clean carpet. But if he didn't die, he comes back in, and you got to do it every day. And I was actually thinking, not to go too deep, but I was thinking, do we ever get too comfortable with our own mess? And yes, physically, but I was even thinking of my own life spiritually. Do we ever get too comfortable with our own mess where, like maybe 2 weeks ago I vacuumed, but the idea of every day cleaning and vacuuming, is there anything in my life? In fact, I was seriously probably talking about this to myself 2 weeks ago. Is there anything in my life where I've kind of given up, if that even concept makes sense?
No, it really does. I think in our personal lives, we need to clean house, so to speak. There are pockets, and just as how we clean rooms in our home, or we have rooms and they're disorganized and we come in and organize them, I believe we have pockets of things in our lives where they can always get stuffed away, and then it shows up somewhere else in our life, maybe in a conversation, or someone cuts you off on the freeway. It shows up maybe at that time, and you're like, oh, where did that come from? So I definitely believe that we have those things, and it got me thinking that how something as small as maybe an offense, how something like if it goes unchecked, or you don't address that with someone, or they didn't come and speak to you, that offense can actually turn into bitterness. And this, I know we're talking about vacuuming, but yes, this is, I'm telling you, how that little offense, can turn into bitterness, and it can turn into hatred, over time. Just as how a little bit of dirt in our house, in a corner, if we don't clean over time, it accumulates and it can become this big thing, and then it starts attracting insects and all kinds of unwanted stuff, that mold and stuff like that we don't even want in our house. So if we have this type of mentality, or just this drive to clean our homes, how much more should we be doing that in our individual lives?
Tie-dye, you made this?
Man, I received the message. I raised my hand. Like I feel that at a personal level, and even where one closet's mess can kind of seep into other areas of the house as well, and that you'll find yourself making a comment or a reaction. You're like, where'd that even come from? And it's often from another part of your life that isn't cleaned up or healthy, and it's kind of a mess. That mess, it has a way of creeping into all the various parts of your life. I think that also makes me think about what do you do once your house is clean? Once your room is clean. I think the Bible has a lot to say about that. What is the next step after you do take care of business and you do work on a mess? I was actually wanting to read the scripture today, and it just gets me every time I read it. He says, when an impure spirit comes out of a person, it goes through arid places seeking rest and does not find it. But then it says, I will return to the house I left. When it arrives, it finds the house swept clean, put in order. But then it goes, and this gets me every time. Then it goes, it takes 7 other spirits more wicked than itself, and they go in, they live there, and the final condition of that person is worse than the first.
That's a lot. We can do a whole podcast with that. We can do a series.
That's a series of podcasts.
We can do a series on that. But no, I think just as how cleaning in our homes, it has to be this consistent thing, because like you said, you have the dog, you have to do it daily. But for a pet, if you have a cat, you have to do it daily as well. But even outside of that, in our personal lives, it's this daily process of picking up our cross and dying to self. It's this daily process of taking stock of in my life and in your life as well, of how I can improve or what areas I need to be growing in, so that we do not become these leaky persons, so to speak, and we're leaking all over relationships and making things messy. I think, it's important that we're consistently doing that, because if we don't, as the verse said, then it goes and takes 7 other spirits more wicked than itself, and they go in and live in there, and the final condition of that person is worse than the first.
I have a very unspiritual application of that verse.
That's
that
fine.
Theologians
Let's
will
hear it.
totally make fun of me for, but I was thinking about our living room. We have a space between the 2 couches that we cleaned up. Like it's been swept clean.
Yeah.
But it's just been empty. And all of a sudden, that's where the pillows get thrown, that's where the books get thrown, that's where the tennis shoes get thrown.
Yeah.
But my wife the other day, she put in 2 houseplants, which is our first endeavor into houseplants for probably over a decade. We're not really a houseplants type of family, but we bought these 2 houseplants, and what's great about that is by filling that empty, clean house now with good things and healthy things. Now we actually have this opportunity not to throw junk over there or dirt over there, that we have now put good things in there. And again, I think that's a whole nother series. But there is that application for me of whatever place has been swept clean, then what are you filling it with?
No, that's so good. Yeah, my mind is going over here. That makes me think, like some of the processes that I have in my life, that I get up at a certain time to maybe spend time with the Lord, and I used to use that time to maybe just lay in bed, and so I decided to clean up that area, vacuum that area of my life, if you will, and spend time with Him. But that's all right, I love that concept of when you put something healthy in that space, that it cleans up the area whereby all the books and pillows used to be. I think that's, I like that. I like that, because we do that in our house. I mean, that's so true. I think about when I clean at times, or when my wife cleans, and you've created this space, and if you don't have something for that space, it can just become the corner where everything gets piled.
It's the junk drawer.
Yeah, it just becomes that corner, and I'm like, no, I think there's a lot of truth to that.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add before we close up here pretty soon?
Well, I did want to add that for me, this whole idea of vacuuming has been this whole new thing that I have started to do over the years, because some of you may know, or you might not know, I don't know who's watching this, but I'm originally from Belize, and so we don't necessarily have carpet per se. We might have an area rug and that type of thing, but it's more tile, or it's more hardwood and that type of thing. So I grew up most of my life sweeping. And even to this day, I sweep at home. So I sweep probably more regularly still today than I actually vacuum, because our whole space isn't carpet all the way through. So it has some of that tile that's down there, like in the kitchen area. And I don't even know, I think it's vinyl. I don't think it's tile. But so I sweep very often, at least twice a week. And for me, it's just this process of using a broom, and I've gotten accustomed to just using a broom over the years. And the funny thing about a broom, I don't know if you've used one before. I'm sure you have. I probably shouldn't say you. I don't know if you have. But brooms, just like vacuums, there are brooms that are really good. You have the straw brooms. You have brooms that are made out of plastic, that have like plastic bristles and that type of stuff. I always prefer a straw broom. They tend to be more expensive, just because over time, I think that I love how they wear out, so to speak. And I know that might sound weird, but the plastic brooms, they tend to wear out in the middle. It's really weird. I don't know why that happens. But yeah, so this whole idea of vacuuming, I love the idea of vacuuming, but I also love just picking up a broom and sweeping. And so I don't know if you have any thoughts about that. Do you sweep often?
Wow. I don't know.
You don't know?
I gotta be careful. I gotta give a lot of props to my wife, who does
Okay.
a lot of the sweeping in the kitchen.
okay.
So I gotta be careful what I say. Like, I don't want to talk up my sweeping game too much, and then have her
Yeah.
listen to this podcast.
Yeah.
And and then have that conversation. So, if I'm gonna be honest, it's it's more like maybe a bi-monthly kind of thing
Okay.
for me. But
you swept.
but
That's
I have
important
swept,
point.
so
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. And I think just as we close, what I would say for people listening or watching is the mess. Even talking about the mess probably has caused some people anxiety.
Yeah.
In fact, maybe there's people that have just stopped even listening. They can't handle it.
Yeah.
Or maybe, which I think is a great use of a podcast, is you're listening while sweeping or
Yeah.
listening while vacuuming. I know
That's true.
mowing the lawn, one of my favorite things to do is listen to a podcast.
Yeah.
But just to help any viewer or anyone listening today is, I would just say this: if you know that your life is a mess, again, physically or spiritually, or there's parts of your life that feel like they're a mess, physically or spiritually, that you just start with one room.
Yeah.
Or you'd start with one closet.
Yeah.
That sometimes when you look at the larger picture, it can be very overwhelming.
Yeah.
But I don't think God would want that for you. And that even if you're a Christian listening to this, or even just anyone really, that you would pray to God and say, God, give me the next step. Give me the next thing I could do to have my life be in order and bring health to my life and cleanliness to my life. Again, whether it's physically or spiritually.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the idea I would leave us with is there a closet or a room, and then clean the closet, organize the room, and then go from there.
Yeah, that sounds good. Start a healthy habit where you've cleaned that closet or pocket.
And get rid of the dog.
Yeah.
No, don't get rid of the dog. Well, we're so happy you guys joined us today for this podcast. We hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.
We'll see you then.
Thanks for joining us on the Little Things podcast.
Yeah, the music you hear on our podcast is actually from Alan Santiago. Man, thank you so much for working on that for us. And all our guys behind the scene, we appreciate all the work you're doing and putting this in. We look forward to future episodes and that you're enjoying the things we're talking about.
Yeah, reach out. We'll see you soon.